All right, guys, welcome to the show here. I'm not sure if it should be strapping down or if it should be side by side. We'll just try it side by side. Now here, I got a scientific video. You could claim this is just a hypothesis, but I must say that I have done this for many years and haven't done it, and I have noticed with factual accuracy that the gold nanoparticle sprays that I've been putting on my plants are triggering a trichome increased production and a terpene production and all that. And I had this observation from an experiment, a lucky accident, as you say. And if you know, through most discoveries that man has made over time, that it's often like they're trying to do something else, they make an accident, and suddenly they observe something, and then from that observation, they can make scientific inferences, write how they scientifically believe it's happening, and then prove that with further science in peer review. So this is my work. Has not been peer reviewed. I'm going to tell the cannabis community, peer review it, guys. I believe I've figured out how to increase trichome production and terpene production. And in today's world that we live in, I guess lucky or cursed enough to have ChatGPT, I can run this stuff by that and have it crunch some things and try to figure it out and maybe explain it to me. And it all makes sense, and they've been even scientific research backing up other instances of this happening with other plants. And we can just go over it right now. Okay, so you guys want to smoke along? You guys want to, this is, I guess when I take one, I'll just pause the video. So why not just get into a rip right now? Let's start it off with a rip. I think you'll enjoy my commentary better if I don't rush through it. Let me enjoy it and not say, oh, I gotta finish so I can rip my dab rig. So I'll be smoking some rosin and out of my dab rig. And again, YouTube, do not restrict this video. There's absolutely no illegal activity in this video. We're consuming tea and we're consuming legal donuts and candy. All right, back to the show here, and cheers to anyone out there. Oh, yeah. Wow, it was a good dab. I would say maybe a little too hot. Got me choking. Let me just pause this and blow my nose. Woo! All right. Excuse me there, guys. That might have been a little hot. All right. Let's get into this. I wouldn't call this an article. I don't know what we should call this. Utilizing a chat bot to come up with data. So you guys will have to fact check this. You guys will have to peer review it. I'd almost be willing to mail some of this gold particle stuff out to you, but I'm kind of low on myself. I gotta either make another big purchase of it. Or, I might just stick to some smaller purchasing of it. Excuse me. Yeah, so the smaller bottles, I may just go with them, just because I could have a more fresh, it could be fresher. The stuff I'm working with now, man, what's the guy be, like years old? Like, definitely like a few years old. And it still works. It's good. If you keep it good, it works. It would be nice having fresh stuff, though, wouldn't it? So, again, I believe it might be like 15 bucks. I can bring up the website if you guys want after this, which I probably will. So you guys don't have to go searching through it for my other videos I've done on it. I like redundancy with this. So what science suggests about nano gold in plants? Nanoparticles can be elicit a stress response. Now we're going to call this, of course it says can elicit a mild stress response. And let me get the water out of my eyes so I can clearly see the words better. Okay, gold nanoparticles are known to induce a mild antibiotic stress response. Now, that is not something that I was planning on doing with this. I wasn't going that way. This was just something, or was it? I was spraying these on my plants so that they could be healthier. I know that the gold nano is a protector against bacteria and viruses. Mainly I was using it to cure or prevent the hops virus and all that stuff. And I believe if you do soak your cuttings in this stuff before you root them, that you can cure it with the cutting like that. That's another way of doing it, I believe. Again, you have to peer review me on that one too. But like I said, it's saying now when a plant is stressed in a non-lethal way, example, UV light, drought, certain nanoparticles, yep, see that? Certain nanoparticles, it often increases production of a secondary metabolism like terpenes, cannabinoids, and cannabis. Right? So, as a defense mechanism, right? So, trichomes are the primary sites for the metabolic production in the cannabis. So, when I said that I was trying to spray my trichomes to have them, the gold would metabolize within the trichome. Remember I was saying that? And it's going to synthesize with the THC. Now, I'm only talking about my benefit of just, I like the health benefits I get smoking gold nano with my weed. And I believe that the safest way to do it is let the plant synthesize it at safe levels. And then that's the safer way, rather than just doping it up and just spraying it right on it. I don't think that's the right way and should never be done. And again, consult your medical practitioner before consuming any nano gold. Make sure you're not allergic to gold and you don't have any strange reactions to gold, because nanoparticles will react differently than the actual metal, solid metal. And now, we all know that they're the primary sites for the metabolic production in cannabis. Some people might argue against that, but again, I guess we're talking about the buds. For buds, some people would say the root system and all that, but whatever. Let's not argue with the chat GPT over those nuances and stuff. Okay, so the hypothesis that gold nanoparticles act as a mild stressor, triggering the plant's defense system to produce more trichomes and associate cannabinoids and terpenes. All right, so the associated cannabinoids and terpenes. Now, I haven't been able to quite prove that as much as the trichomes from visually seeing. As for my sense of smell, it has been affected, and that sucks, you know what I mean? Ever since this COVID virus and crap, it had at some point changed the way I smell cannabis. But I don't trust my own nose anymore. So where before I would trust it, now that our sense of smells have been interfered with, even like mine could be perfect and someone else's might not be, I gotta ask others what they think. What's this smell like? You know what I mean? What's this taste like? Some could be totally different with me. But sight, upon seeing the increased production of trikes, now, I did spray mine week 3. Some might argue that might have been a little further along, maybe a little earlier. Predicting when I'm actually in flower is a little difficult for me. Is it when the hairs start to show on the plant, or is it when like kind of larger clusters start forming. You know what I mean? So it's always different for people. So I don't know. I didn't get to upload the uncensored version. I was trying to get it unrestricted, but apparently it did. But I do have the proof of that video. I can compare to what I'm seeing today to then and the time it took to do it. But here's the thing. People might say, yeah, that's the cannabis plant does that. Yeah, that is true. And I don't have something that I didn't spray to prove it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I do have one that it's a really big one, so it doesn't count, you know what I mean? And it's a different flower stage as the other ones. Like, those are all like synced with each other. So the one that's not synced and wasn't sprayed, I mean, it's gonna be different. So now I almost lost my spot here, but we read the hypothesis. Now let's get into it. Okay, so 2. Gold nanoparticles may act as a micronutrient or catalyst. Now, gold itself is not an essential nutrient for plants, but nano-sized gold particles may interact with the metabolic pathways indirectly. So that this AuNPs, that means gold nanoparticles. So the Au is gold and NPS, I guess, is nanoparticles, enhance enzyme activity. Okay, so they're saying that the AUs, it can enhance enzyme activity. They may influence gene expression related to defense and metabolite biosynthesis. Okay, so the metabolite biosynthesis, I mean, that's just it's like metabolism, you know what I mean? So some studies show that the gold nanoparticles can improve photosynthetic efficiency, or ROS, scavenging enzyme systems. So now it's able to scavenge enzyme systems. You guys are gonna have to, you know, peer review that, right? So indirectly promoting growth or resilience. Now I do have to say that it does promote growth. You never want to give it too much, and you don't want to do it for too long. It's like, you know, I like to give it a little bit when it's a little seedling, maybe a drop or two at the root. Spray it down. I don't like to give the seeds that, because soaking them in that can be too much for it, and it can stunt the growth. And I like early on, and that would be like a cutting, or, you know, like that. You would want to soak early on, because by soaking early on, it's only a smaller amount that you have to coat. Like, if you had to coat an entire plant, it would just use more gold, and it's expensive stuff. But I've also been experimenting or thinking about, what if you could mix like a tablespoon in a gallon of water, and that would be enough? You know what I mean? What if I am overkilling it? What if I only need to mix a little bit and I can get the same effect? I also know that overkilling it like I used to, when I used to spray a half gallon of this stuff on my entire garden and then spray the other half gallon, you can look it up. I have those videos out there, and you can look up the price of this stuff. I think I was paying about $250 a gallon before, maybe more, I don't know. And you can buy a smaller bottle for like $15 though, so you know what I mean. I think the small bottle is all you really need, and you don't need to coat the leaves and stuff. But again, it all got me to this point. So we talked about the metabolite biosynthesis and the ROS scavenging enzyme systems. All right, so trichomes as a response to surface irritation or barrier protection. So here's where it gets interesting. Now, trichomes serve not only as a metabolite factory, but also as a physical protection. Now, the thing is, when you talk about like the metabolite factory, I mean, we're just talking about inside the trichome. It metabolizes different compounds, like GBDs and different things, and it can transform them into like THCAs, and then that, you know, it's a big process, and there's even more steps than what I just listed. But it's basically, it'll get you your terpenes, it'll get your THCs. It creates all of that. And when it's just the first trichome, when it starts, like it has to synthesize all that in there, metabolize it, right? Because it's pulling it from the plant, I guess. But whatever you want to call it, this thing's saying it how it's saying it. So trichomes serve not only as a metabolite factories, but also as a physical protection if the surface of the plant is irritated or coated by nanoparticles. It may trigger increased glandular trichome production as a defense to protect against further exposure. There you go. So I guess that's the idea of what's going on. Remember I said how the NM, the nanometer of their gold, is so small, it can go into the human cell itself. It goes in your cells when you take this stuff. And I've noticed, like, improved everything. Like, it's faster thinking. You can read faster. Like, see third eye stuff clearer and better. And, like, into, like, realities and multi-dimensional stuff. Multiverse shit. Yeah, gold nano is what you want to do. But again, so I figured try it on the weed, you know what I mean? See what it does for that. So if it can enter my cells, I know it enters the plant cells. And I also studied on that, and yes, it does enter the plant cells even easier than a human. So this stuff can penetrate into the trichome head is what we were trying, or I was trying to do. By getting it into the trichome head synthesized, now was an irritant for the plant, and the plant was irritated by it. Maybe even it felt that it was like, maybe it thinks it's being pollinated by something, or something got on it and it's doing something that makes the metabolism improve with it. Because that's another thing that the gold does at small levels. You don't want to do too much. If you notice the misting I did, very light, right? So, and remember that year where I had the gooing out of the buds and they just stretched with goo? Yeah, I sprayed them. I sprayed a lot that year and fed it a lot that year. So did that contribute to that when I had that crazy year where it was insane? And then I've noticed the times I don't grow it, yeah, it's still amazing buds, still really good. But is it as frosty and amazing as it was with the Gold Nano? And I'm going to say the Gold Nano made it better. 100% made it better. And it's too bad I don't have side-by-sides. Someone, again, peer review it. You'll have to do it. And it's pretty crazy, though, right? So, again, it may trigger the increase in glandular trichome production as a defense protection against future exposure. We read that. All right, so where's the supporting research and all this stuff? I'll move it up so you can read it better. So supporting research, like non-cannabis, has that been done? Because few have actually done this with cannabis. It might be one of the only people, if the only one. I don't know. Although research on cannabis and gold nail particles is claimed non-existent, here's what's related. Research suggests tomato plants exposure to gold nail particles increased secondary metabolite production like flavonoids, so it made the tomatoes taste better. Interesting, right? So Arabidopsis and rice showed altered gene expression related to the stress response when exposed to gold nanoparticles, AuNPs. Basil, there's another plant we all know. Not something we can all agree with. Application of nanoparticles, especially silver, zinc oxide, increase essential oil yield via trichome stimulation. So, here's proof that with certain nanoparticles, increased oil yield via trichome stimulation can happen. Now, this company that makes this nano gold, it's unlike ionic gold. It's nothing like that. We're talking nano gold, and it's miso. It's called MESOGOLD. That's their marketed name for it or something. All right. So could MESOGOLD have caused the trichome increase? Plausible explanation. Yes. Gold nanoparticles in MESOGOLD solution may have triggered a mild abiotic stress response or acted as a metabolic catalyst, promoting the cannabis plant to produce more trichomes as a form of protection and metabolite synthesis. Interesting. Things to keep in mind: this is not established cultivation practice. Your may vary with strain, environment, and concentration. So that's the problem there. Overuse of nanoparticles, even gold, can cause toxicity, chlorosis, or growth inhibits if not carefully managed. That is very true. You don't want to like overdose your plants in gold. Gold is inert and typically considered non-toxic, but in nanoparticle form can behave differently. Exactly. This stuff is not something you do not want to mess around with. If you think you can just hold a bar of gold and it's fine, so you should have no problem just chugging the bottle, you do not do that. So, something called like heavy metal toxicity. So, just tiny amount. So why having the big jug like that, you don't need it. Except if you're working with your plants, you know what I mean? You had a lot of plants you want to get a spray. And that's how I got the big jug. You know what I mean? So, and that's my second big jug too. Or possibly third big jug. Because I was using a jug a year on my plants. And a lot of it was like, I'd water with it too. So I'd like pour it and feed the root systems with it. Because I practiced, tested that too. That if I gave it to the root system, it would bond to the roots and it would make them metabolize better from the ground. And then I also sprayed the stems and leaves to see if they would take in the sun more and metabolize light better into the leaves, and then the buds and that. And that usually took with the garden like that and being incredibly I just pure, put in that big sprayer I got and just hosing it down, or just like dumping it right onto the root system. Yeah. I went through a lot of that stuff, and I come to find out that I think that you didn't that doing it that much isn't needed. Just a mild doses might even be better. And then from what you're seeing here, seems to be it. So recommendations: if you experiment more, try comparing treated versus untreated. I would have done it, but I didn't do it this time. Plants under the same conditions exactly. Measure trichome density, terpene, cannabinoid content. I could get it tested. Be cautious with concentrations, dilute, and avoid foliar spraying under strong lights like everything else. Now we could type more stuff in here and see what we want to ask it. So let's just take a rip right now. I'm gonna take a hit and try to absorb all this. All right, here we go. Oh man. All right. So what I'm gonna ask this thing, I'm gonna ask it give more examples of plants. Let's see. What was that? Number 2, 3. Oh no, supporting research. Give more supporting research. There we go. Give more supporting research. That's what we want. Deep dive into scientific literature. Gold, nanoparticles, plants, stress responses, trichome development, species. Let me just try to just blow through this really quick. Okay, nanoparticles as elicitors of secondary metabolism. Review on nanoparticles enhancing secondary metabolism. Male nanoparticles, example, Ag, Z, and zinc, aluminum oxide, and can act as elicitors in plant cell cultures, triggering oxidative signals like ROSK fixtures, that's calcium, and marked cascades that will upregulate gene involved into secondary metabolism biosynthesis. Comprehensive research across plant models, nanoparticles, are known to program or reprogram metabolic pathways, influencing antioxidant systems, carbohydrate metabolism, hormone levels, and the TCA cycle, all linked to the production of secondary metabolites. Gold nanoparticles, AuNPs, and stress response activation, arabidosis, and alpha exposed to gold exposed led to a reduced root growth, but triggered scientific unregulation of stress-related genes, including glutamine transfers and cytochromes P450 preoxidase and other involved in the detoxification pathways. That is all a lot to take in right there, but we'll just continue reading. Callus cultures and Proella vulgaris, a medicinal plant application of gold nanoparticles, enhanced biomass, antioxidant enzyme activities, SOD, peroxidase, and the accumulation of phenolics and flavonoids, core secondary metabolites. Spinach under salt stress, spinach treated with AuNPs, that's gold nanoparticles, show improved psychokinetic pigment sugar content and growth metrics, including what gold nanoparticles help migrate anabolic stress and enhance metabolic vigor. So, I mean, that's a lot of what I was trying to accomplish. Nanoparticles trigger psychological and biomedical shifts, drought and anabolic stress studies, nanoparticle treatments of CuO and zinc zero oxide, chitose and NP nanoparticles altered the expression of key responses, genes, and secondary metabolisms pathways, enhancing resilience. Metabolic reprogramming across crop nanoparticles affect central metabolism, including glycolysis and TCA cycle, amino acid synthesis, and shikma phenopropenoid pathways, predecessors of compounds that secrete by glandular trichomes. So that's very important right here. Predecessors of compounds secreted by glandular trichomes, examples terpenes and flavonoids. Why wouldn't cannabis be any different? I have added in that. Okay, alaminoid metabolites and hormone regulations. Metal nanoparticles can influence hormone signaling, example IAA, ABA, carbohydrate metabolism, potentially boosting substrate and energy supply for secondary metabolite synthesis. 4. Nanoparticles, proteins, coronas, and biochemical interactions. Gold nanoparticles develop protein coronas in plant tissues. In boracic Jewia, gold nanoparticles bind to the proteins with 30% higher zeta, potentially. After several hours, these corona-bound proteins include many involved in energy metabolism, suggesting that APUNS could modulate key biochemical pathways. Protein coronas identify as 97 proteins, energy-yielding pathways highlighted in potential ability of gold nanoparticles to influence yield by Brassica juxia. 5. Trichome biology and how it could tie in. What trichomes do. Glandular trichomes are specialized structures that synthesize and secrete terpenoids, phenopropenoids, flavonoids, and less secondary metabolites, both of defense and metabolic storage. Bridging connections. Taken together, the evidence suggests that plausible mechanisms of your observation, gold nanoparticles, likely acted as an anabolic editor, triggering the oxidative and stress signaling pathways of ROS, calcium, and MAPKS. These signals can enhance secondary metabolism, including the biosynthesis of compounds stored in the secreted in trichomes. So it's either stored or secreted in trichomes. Gold nanoparticles interact with proteins. Protein coronas may further tweak metabolic activities and energy or biosynthesis pathways. In medicinal plants, gold nanoparticles have already been shown to boost prolific and flavonoids by compounds that are often trichome associated, with no studies directly confirming the increased trichome density in cannabis from gold nanoparticle exposure. The metabolic parallels are strong enough to support your observation as scientifically plausible. To summarize, the mechanism, effect. Okay, so stress signal activation includes ROS, calcium, MARPK pathways, boost secondary metabolic genes. Metabolic reprogramming enhances carbohydrate hormone TCA pathways, supplies predecessors. Antioxidant enzyme boost protects from oxidative damage, sustains biothesis. Proteins corona effects alters energy biochemical pathways, perhaps enhances trichome biosynthesis. Okay, so empirical evidence of other plants. Gold nanoparticles increase the phenolith flavonoids and stress tolerances in various species, which help to digest experience pathways, control the counts of SANGs, terpene levels, all that stuff. Okay, so that's pretty cool right there. And just from the way that I can speed read and I'm reading and blasting through this stuff, and like, dude, when I was a kid, they said, like, I was dyslexic, and I had trouble reading and all this stuff. Maybe when I was like a little kid and all that stuff. I grew up, I could read pretty good and read better and better. But I've went to college, got all those bullshit certificates and dumb fucking degrees that didn't amount to shit. That I ended up doing construction, loving that better. So owning your own company, there's nothing like owning your own company and making your own hours. So let me just add on to that. So with all that, I had that reading ability, but nothing ever like this. Now that just all popped right up. I never reread that. I was just blowing through it, and my brain was processing as the words were coming to me. You know what I mean? And some of the words were all fucking weird. Sorry for the swear there. So I'd say that the gold nano has definitely helped. It's made me speed reading type of thing, and it can be like this. Like as you know, I've just been working with the stuff. I've gotten it all over me, so I've been completely covered with gold nano recently, and had a little bit myself. So it's definitely something that I've figured is a carrier. The THC is a carrier of it when you spray it on the trichomes. I've noticed it. The same enhancements that you get from taking it, I get from when I smoke it, and it'll leave you once you're done smoking it. So it can be like, let me put on my smoking cap. Imagine a cannabis where you smoke it and you get intelligent from it. Now, another thing I was looking up is gold's ability to penetrate into cancer tumors and cancer cells to deliver medicines to those cells. And that's how I came upon this idea that if you could smoke it and you could get the gold to mix with the THC, and the gold would be a carrier somehow to bind it to the cancer cell in some way, that maybe it could have the THC could like neutralize the cells or something. But this is all that needs to be that's just a hypothesis of mine, and I could even ask this and blow through it. But again, this video is getting way too long. Hopefully it's still running, and yet we're still going at 33 minutes. Someone might not even watch it this long, so I'm just going to we'll end the video here, and we'll go out on a high note. And I will take a third dab with you guys throughout this whole situation. I gotta remember, I wonder, did I spray any gold on this stuff? I don't think this one had it, or did it have a little? I don't know. I can't remember if my outdoor last year had gold nano. I don't think it did. I think I skipped a year or something with it. Or they had the gold nano, but they didn't have the gold nano. I didn't spray the buds with the gold nano because there was too many plants to do it to. You know what I mean? So I figured, why waste it? And I wanted to see if I noticed a difference, and I believe I'm noticing a big difference. And I've off and on it. So, all right, let's let me heat my banger up and we'll take a cheers. You guys want to heat yours up, you do it now or take a rip of your pipe. Thanks for being here. And again, I'll don't just go anywhere. I'll bring up the website and I'll show you that before we close out too. All right, bangers heat up. I'm about to take this dab, and here's the website, Purest Colloids. Oh yeah, that's much better. It wasn't as hot. Or was it? Oh man. Alright, so whoa. Oh man. So hot. Alright, so purestcolloids.com. MESOGOLD, that's the stuff. Right here. You get their number over there. All that stuff there. Just going over the screen here. Now we can see it's 28 bucks now. You know, the price of gold went way up since I had that jug. Crazy enough, right? It's a years old jug. A year old jug. No, a few years old jug. I've been doing this for a long time actually. Because I had a jug before that. The years before that, so that was mostly me spraying them in veg back in the day. And I started dabbling with the week 1 flower. And now I was dabbling into, it might have been week 3 or 4 mist on the flower trikes, just to get them to express and produce more. So, as we see here, it's still like $2.59. I believe that's the jug. Let's just switch to like, what's a jug? Comes out to $2.50, $2.49. So it's like $2.50. Hopefully they give you free shipping with that. I think they should. And then you could go big dog, the 5 gallon. That's 600 bucks. That's 700 bucks actually. $6.99. 700 for 5 gallons. See, now that's if you had like a big farm and you were gonna do it, which is actually pretty affordable. Now, if you're thinking that maybe let's get the smallest version, 28 bucks, you could afford $28. And think about like diluting it too. Like maybe you don't need to do like a full concentration of it. It could just be like an overkill waste. So yeah, you could experiment with diluting it, and then you'd use you wouldn't use tap water, you'd use distilled water, not RO water, distilled. Very different than so you want distilled water, just or get it from the supermarket or something, you know what I mean? What's the difference between distilled and the water that we all use, the RO water? The RO goes through a filter and does it that way. And I believe distilled is the evaporated, condensated water coming off of that. And I think there's something where the ions will react negatively to the wrong type and could drop out of solution or something, you know what I mean? But I guess if you're just spraying it right away, I guess it might not matter, but I don't know. I'd probably just use the same water they use, which was distilled water. It says on there, so should be fine. I haven't had the problem with colloidal silver when I do that, because you definitely don't want to mix tap water with colloidal silver if you're diluting it. But I guess if you're applying it right away, it probably doesn't matter, but it can just cause it to get all cloudy and stuff, because there's like different things in the water, like calciums and stuff. Now RO water might work, I'm not sure. So as you see here, so I'm gonna end this one here. It's been long enough, so we'll end this one, and I'll probably go live on Armory Forger soon and do some garden videos. Probably film and then show before and after the spraying of the gold nano. So, till we have the next video. Thanks.